with the first pick in the NFL draft.
Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall. Welcome back, Andrew and Adam. We've been doing a lot of NFL 2025 draft prep the last few weeks, the last month, really. And I hope you guys have been watching it and keeping up with it as well across YouTube and across our social media as well. These two especially have put in some absolutely tremendous work throughout the whole month, doing their rankings, doing mocks, doing mock the mocks. They've both been absolutely superb. So make sure you go check out some of that content before the draft, which happens on Thursday night into Friday morning. If you are really committed to watching it, you need to book the Friday. If you haven't already, come on, man. Like, you need to pull your finger out here. You need to, call in sick or something at this point, because I've had it booked up for months. Andrew has, Adam has. We're going to be watching it. We're going to stay out late to watch it. Won't be doing a show or anything, but we'll be keeping our eyes on socials and everything like that. And today we're bringing our official mock draft, the official Franchise Tag Podcast mock draft to you. It's going to be a collective process. We're all chipping into this. We're going to be doing every 3 picks. So Adam's got the number 1 pick, Andrew's got the 2nd, I've got the 3rd, and then we're doing derivations of that afterwards.
Just checked it, Fred. Apparently, I've got the number 1 pick.
Whoa. I thought you had the number 2 pick.
Oh, you filled it in, Fred. I just checked it.
Wow. There we go. Now this mock draft's going to be completely bonkers.
It started how it means to go on. It's going to be great. Don't worry, people.
Very chaotic. Well, Andrew's going to pop up the mock draft here for us, and we are doing what we think the organizations will do, not necessarily what we feel is the best for the organization. So one of you has number 1 pick. I can't remember who now.
Yeah.
Now you're just completely...
I'll take it. It'll be me. I'll have it. You've got to remember.
It's going to be difficult for you, isn't it, this one?
Well, as I've got the number 1 pick, I suppose I can say, as Freddie says, we've got to do this as what we think is actually going to happen on the day. So we've got to put our egos aside, haven't we? And not pick the players we want. So there might be some but I've got the easiest pick here with number 1, haven't I? We know who it's going to be. It's been knocked in there for a while. They've strengthened up the O-line already, so they're probably going to bring in a quarterback, aren't they? Cam Ward it is.
But do you think he's the best quarterback in the draft?
No, I think I think Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in the draft, and Cam Ward has some really good traits. I think Cam Ward's great. I always have thought he was great, but that's another story.
I was listening to something earlier that said that he'd be the number 7 quarterback last year. How crazy is that?
We had him in our top 10 last year, and I think we had him at 7 or 8. I think.
Yeah, about that.
It doesn't matter. Each draft is its individual own thing, isn't it? It doesn't matter about other drafts. Like I don't think anyway. In that sense, in comparing talent, I suppose.
Yeah, it doesn't matter in respect of like this draft, and you don't have a choice. You just got to deal with it, haven't you? It's like you get what you get, and that's the end of it. But it must be a little frustrating if you're the number 1 pick and you were like, damn, I wish I was the number 1 pick last year.
Well, on to the number 2 pick, the Cleveland Browns, which is going to be your pick, Adam.
Yeah, so I am going to go for Travis Hunter, corner / wide receiver. I actually think he's going to be more wide receiver for the Browns than he is going to be corner. And I think Andrew Berry actually came out and said that, didn't he, a little bit, that they view him more as a wide receiver than a corner. Obviously, they got Jerry Jeudy, but not a lot else there in the wide receiver room, whereas for the corner room's a little bit better. I think as much as I love Abdul Carter, I think he's the best player in the draft. I can understand that why you would want to go for Travis Hunter, given the versatility. And I think they will probably go for him. And if they do, I will be picking up a nice little bit of money from Sky Bet. So here's hoping.
Makes sense, really, doesn't it, to go get better on both sides of the ball rather than get better on one side of the ball, doesn't it? So
yes, yeah. I mean, the argument for Abdul Carter is that you've got a edge rusher in Myles Garrett that's costing you $40 million a year. So you could have 2 and sort of like spread the cost. So I do understand it. But yeah, I think the fact that you can have 2 positions sorted out to a certain degree, even if like when it came to corner, if he literally just got involved in like third and long plays and like certain things like that, where you feel like that would work for him, then yeah, I don't think he has to be full time on both, but he's going to want to be. But we'll see.
One key bit of information I may have left out before we started this mock draft is each of us actually has a bit of a wild card that we can put in this mock draft as well. We each have one veto card. So if we feel that the pick is incorrect, ridiculous, we don't like it, we can say, I'm going to veto that one. And then I suppose that veto, the person who vetoes it then gets to pick the player. I suppose that's surely how that works. You can't then go, well, no, you need to pick another player. You rob the pick, don't you?
I think you rob the pick and then as a group go, yes, that's the right decision.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Are we going to use this already, Fred? Are you lining us up to set us up?
We should have done it on Cam Ward. That would have made a real different.
I mean, everything in me says Shedeur Sanders here. Like everything in me does. But I'm not going to lie to you. I have binged about 4 mock drafts today. And there is one common theme that is happening in all mock drafts at the minute, and it is Shedeur dropping in all of them.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to stick with that because this information is coming from somewhere. I think if they were, I don't know, like you could see both sides of the coin on this. If they said they were definitely going to take Shedeur, then they would. Maybe teams might want to, the Steelers might be a team that might be looking straight up. But then at the same time, if they go for Abdul Carter, teams may also be looking straight up. That might be why the information's coming out now that Carter's going to be the pick. And also, I am subscribing more to the belief of, like Daniel Jeremiah said on a podcast recently, this is a starter draft, not a stars draft. Abdul Carter is a star, don't get me wrong, but there is not that much difference between some of these players from 15 to maybe 70, 60. So I think there's going to be a lot of movement in the back end of this draft rather than at the top end, and it can make for a really interesting draft. So I'm going to go with Abdul Carter here because the information feels like it's coming out. It feels like it's circulating. They haven't been silent about maybe Kayvon Thibodeau being on the trade block as well. And also, we look at the trenches around the league at the minute. The teams with great trenches on both sides of the ball seem to be winning a lot of games. The Eagles go for defensive linemen every year. Well, when you've got Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and then you add Abdul Carter to the mix, that makes a really formidable front.
Yeah, I've got no issues with that one. I think that.
Are you happy as the Giants fan? Are you happy?
Yeah, I mean, you can't be unhappy with picking Abdul Carter. It's just like you say.
What do you think happens though to the rest of the as in Thibodeau? I
think if you can use him to move back up into the first and take a quarterback later on at the back of the first, then I think that makes sense for us to do. Equally, I'd keep hold of them because, like Freddie says, to have a front seven to replicate what the Eagles have done in their own division with that sort of trenches line makes sense. And to have everybody there, we had injuries last year. Brian Burns missed a few, Thibodeau missed a few. We needed Azeez Ojulari to come in and play well on a few of them. So having multiple guys to do that is not silly. I think maybe trading him away now might not be the right answer. But if it gets us back up into the first and get a quarterback for the future, I wouldn't be unhappy at that either.
Right, on to pick number 4, the New England Patriots pick. Circling back round to Andrew, who have you got here?
Well, New England Patriots are probably going to be losing their mind a little bit, hoping maybe that the Shedeur Sanders does go to either the Browns or the Giants, because I'm sure they would want Hunter or Carter at this point. And I can't see many people wanting to trade up at this point now to maybe get the 4th pick with where the other teams are situated that are picking. So I think they stick and pick and they take O-line, and I think they take Will Campbell at this point. I think he's very Mike Vrabel. I think he fits the scheme really well for them, and they'll really love him, the way that he plays. So I think they protect the future of Drake May and take Will Campbell at this point.
Yeah, I think if this is how the board falls, there's maybe Patriots fans who would go, "Oh, Ashton Genty's there," sort of thing. But at this point, their future is clearly Drake May. I don't think taking a running back this high is particularly Mike Vrabel or New England Patriot move. I think this feels very New England Patriots. He's proved at LSU of how capable a tackler he can be. I mean, there's a lot of people saying about the short arms and moving to guard potentially, but your future is Drake May. Go and draft the best guys. They've reinforced this roster a little bit in this offseason. They've had the money to be able to do that. This is a guy that they can bring in and keep May on his feet and hopefully provide more options for him in his throwing game and also in the run game as well, how he can work there. On to pick 5 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Adam, you are up.
We're going to be vetoing this pick.
When the draft starts, here comes the fun. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, there has been significant movement towards it being Ashton Jeanty here. However, I'm going to go with the theory that you've got brand new general manager, James Gladstone, who's come from the Rams under the McVay Shanahan system. And the one thing that they have always, if you look at all of them and what they have all done, is that they have made sure that they have got very strong trench play. And specifically the defensive line, when you think of what that Rams team is at the moment. I think because of that, they stick with Mason Graham, and that makes the most sense to me. But there has been significant movement to Jeanty, so I will concede that I think there is a chance that they go for it. Trevor Etienne is in his 5th year, or they're gonna look at whether or not to pick him up for his 5th year or something like that.
It's already in his 5th year. It'd be a contract year for him next year, won't it? So if he finishes out this year, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money, or you can reset at running back there and go and get a rookie in the first round for another 5 years. So I think that's why people are thinking that. I think they're also thinking offensive-minded head coach now might want to go and get a weapon to make Trevor Lawrence look better. But equally, Adam makes more points there that the Rams got younger, got stronger, got really good on defense because they knew their head coach was really good on offense. So they got the blue chip players on the defense, knowing that he could get the best out of offensive players later in the draft. So that makes perfect sense to me as well.
Right,
Mason Graham.
Mason Graham. We'll go on to pick 6, which is back to me with the Las Vegas Raiders. I think as the board falls here, I think Raiders will be very happy that Ashton Jeanty isn't going there. And I think they just go straight for him. I mean, I can't get away from Pete Carroll being there and this being the game plan that they're going to do. Geno Smith, play action style quarterback as well. A blue chip player with Ashton Jeanty. I know, like people have said, you can get running backs further down the board and everything like that, but I just can't get off of this. As soon as I saw the information about, coming in last week or so that Jeanty and Jags is looking a bit more maybe angling, I just still sit on that. Mason Graham is the pick there, and I don't understand why it wouldn't be. And then equally, I wouldn't understand why this wouldn't be Ashton Jeanty if it's how the board fell.
Yeah, this has been a lock pick for a while, hasn't it, for most people, that if he's there, that's where he's going. Yeah.
On to pick 7, the New York Jets. That's back round to Andrew. Who have you got going here?
Well, there's been lots of talk with this pick. This is another pick that's split people. But the main thing I'm hearing from the majority of the people that are listening to the Jets organization, there's a lot of, if Membu isn't there, then they will take Tyler Warren or even trade back and take Tyler Warren. So there's a lot of people mocking Tyler Warren in this spot, but it's apparently it's Membu is the main priority. They're going to put him in at right tackle where he played at Mizzou. And then you've got Olu Fashanu and Membu up to bookends for many years to come now, because they're both going to be young on rookie deals. And then if he's not there, then we might see Tyler Warren. But in our mock draft, we've still got him there. So I'm going with Membu at this point as well.
They also got rid of Morgan Moses, didn't they? Yeah. So they've got a real problem at right tackle. And obviously Membu played there a lot. So that makes sense.
Right. Pick 8, background to Adam here for the Carolina Panthers.
I think that this one is probably one of the most boring ones of the lot, to be honest. I think if they pick, if they do stay there, then I think it probably is going to be Jalen Walker. And I think they need, the whole defense needs help. Walker is a bit of an edge rusher, a bit of a linebacker. They've come out and said that they believe that Xavier Legette is a number one wide receiver, so I don't think you take McMillan. And I think that they like the idea of having that sort of like versatile edge linebacker type guy that isn't Micah Parsons, but is kind of being compared to him a little bit. So I think because of that, they'll go for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's the right player. I'm not sure he fits the scheme there, but we said a lot on the last show. Versatility is going to be a key word when it comes to when people like organizations are picking players, and he's probably one of the most versatile players in this draft in terms of everything he can do. So it's another one of those lock picks, isn't it? Everybody has this mock there, don't they?
I just don't know where else they go. As well, for them, that's the other thing.
Yeah, well, I think it's defense. I think it's defense all along. I think edge rusher, like a pure edge rusher, might be. But to have a guy that can do a little bit of everything for them, that needs help on everything, makes sense as well. I just personally not sure he's the right fit for that. I think he needs to go to a team that would utilize his skills better. I think Detroit, which he's not going to make it to there, he'd be perfect in Detroit. But this is a good pick for them.
Are you going to veto that then?
No. Exactly where they go.
I've got the pick 9 New Orleans Saints. Because of how the boards fell, I'm not going to think about it. Shedeur Sanders. I think they've Derek Carr, his injury, he might not play for the whole season next year. They have then Spencer Rattler, Jake Fromm behind. I mean, I think this is how the board fails. The organization looks at this and goes, we've got to take this guy. I mean, there's a lot of people out there in the world that are not big on him, but I think there's a lot of people out there in the world that are quite big on him. And both of you are a big one to that. I've joined the line in the sand of one person who's completely out and one person who thinks he's a very decent quarterback. And I think there's the same. If this doesn't go well, it's another Saints pick not working, which they have historically done in the last few years. It's not been great drafting by the Saints, but then if it does work, you've got your quarterback of the future. Let's face it, Derek Carr's not lit, and he's not turned up to any trees in New Orleans. I think if the board falls like this is how it would feel.
Just on that, because I think this is the pick as well. I think they go Shedeur Sanders. The Derek Carr injury, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, a little bit close to the draft. Oh, I need surgery. Do we think that there's been some burnt bridges there and he's not getting on with Kellen Moore and he wants out and he's kind of made up the injury to sort of go cut me or trade me? I don't want to be here. Or do we think he's actually injured and there's a possibility that he might sit out? What's your guys' thoughts on that?
I think he's probably injured. I don't know why. I mean, I know what you're saying, but it just, to me, it feels a little bit like he's probably injured and that they need to sort something out. I would love to veto this pick. I would love to, but the problem is that I actually kind of agree in respect of I think that they will take him. So
because you don't like Sanders and you see him slipping down the board, but ultimately
it's not that I dislike Sanders. It's that he has limitations. And he's not a first. I wouldn't have him as a first round quarterback.
Every player we picked so far has limitations. Everyone's got a red flag in their armor somewhere. Even Abdul Khair, his injuries is a red flag maybe. But all his positives, I think people just forget about because they just want to hate on him. But he's the skill set that he's got. He's just he could be a prime Derek Carr, couldn't he? Could be the perfect replacement. Get rid of Derek Carr to replace him with prime Derek Carr, which I think can get you to the playoffs. I think it can get you there.
Can we not have the puns in the place?
Oh, you like prime for Shedeur, don't you?
Number 10, the Chicago Bears pick. Going back round to Andrew here.
Oh, I'm in. Oh,
Come
we
on,
might be
do
vetoing.
it. You know you want to.
I don't
Come
want.
on.
I didn't want the Bears pick because I don't know where to go with it because Ashton Genty's off the board. There's been heavy talk that they're going to go running back. I personally think that the running back that they go for would be Henderson, but everyone's going to go, that's outrageous and ridiculous, and probably get vetoed. I also
Never. I'm with you. Come on.
We could put if it's running back, we could put Hampton in there, but also if Genty's gone and they're not overly bothered about that, and they could get a really, really good running back in the second round, would you not go O-line at this point with the Calvin Banks still on there and can play tackle? And we know how bad their O-line has been. I know they've spent a lot of money on that in free agency, but is that going to help?
The free agents could not work as well. Like, I don't think everyone's going, well, they bought their people. The free agents could not work in that team. Like, I don't think no one really says that enough, to be honest with you. Yeah, you guys say, oh, they've really reinforced. Yeah, really reinforced, but injuries, and also it just might not work with that team.
They're odds-on favourite to take a running back with their first pick, aren't they? So it's running back, tight end, offensive line. But I think I didn't.
They do have 2 second-round picks as well, don't they?
Yeah. So I think they go
quite
running
early.
back. You could get a Quinshon Junkins or a Caleb Johnson or someone like that at that pick. And if you're going Amari and Hampton, then those two guys fit that kind of scheme. And they've got Swift as well, haven't they? So that would make sense. Would you guys be happy if I went O-line here at this pick? Or do you think that's outrageous?
No. I'd be fine with it.
I'd be fine with it as well.
Yeah. I'm going with Calvin Banks at this
I mean, I wouldn't be fine with it because you're screwing up my next pick, but in the logical way, I'd be fine with it.
Well, go on. Let's move on to your pick there, number 11, San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, that's now become... It feels like O-line is what they need to be doing. They've got like guard and tackle issues, so it is the area that they need to go at. There are other issues, but I feel like the other issues they have, especially on the defense, you wouldn't take them here, or that you could get them later on, because especially D-line, there's quite a lot of depth in the class. So I do feel like I feel like the 49ers would they kind of work a little bit differently sometimes. So I think they might go for something a little bit out there. They might not necessarily go for one of the guys that are like tackle guys. I think they might go guard instead. And so I think going out and getting the top guard in this draft isn't the worst idea. So Tyler Booker from Alabama is the one that I'm going to go for.
Do you not think with the amount of people they lost on defense, they go defense early?
But where
you can strengthen the O-line later on, no?
No, because the problem is the O-line is weak this year. Like, it is a weak side of it. I think O-line, you're going to see a lot of guys go very early, and you're going to end up reaching a point where you're in like the mid-20s and you can't take an O-line guy because there isn't anyone of the quality there. I mean,
now I'm looking at names. I don't hate this at all, to be honest.
I mean, that you could, if you look at defense, you could go for Will Johnson, who I wouldn't be against looking at. I just
think cornerback and defensive tackle.
I don't think they go safety.
I think cornerback and defensive tackle, there's still top 10 caliber worth players left on the board.
You've also got to think you've got to pay Brock Purdy in no time.
So for me, okay,
a young O-line that's going to protect him. And if you're going to go and get the best, people are saying he's the best guard in the draft, and he could well be. And
but you've got good guards, very good, very, very good guards that you can take in round 2 and 3. Tate Ratledge is still going to be available. We think Donovan Jackson might be available. Zabel might be available.
I don't think Donovan Jackson's good. I don't think Gray Zabel will be there, or Donovan Jackson will be there.
You think Tate Ratledge will be there, don't you?
Yeah, Ratledge will be there. But this is what I mean. There's very few, and it's a big drop-off. That's my point. The only person I would come out and say is Walter Nolan. That's the only other one where I'd be a little bit like
That's what
D-line.
I would go
would
Walter
say.
Nolan or Booker for me.
Walter Nolan for me is a top 10 player. I think you could argue his skill set is better than Mason Graham's. I'm not saying he's better than Mason Graham, but his skill set of what he can do, I think he's top 10 talent.
So are you going to veto Adams' pick in?
Yeah, I'm going to veto Adams. Tyler.
I'm very happy to be vetoed on that one. So,
I'm going to put in. For me, this pick would be Will Johnson or Walter Nolan. So I'm going to go.
Do I get to veto whichever one you pick then?
Veto the veto.
Which one are you going to go for?
Well, they've only got one interior tackle on the actual roster at the minute, haven't they? So I'm going to put in a defensive tackle. So I might have a couple, but Walter Nolan's going in.
Oh. See, I would have taken a bit of umbrage with Will Johnson here, just a little bit, just because I think that defensive line's been so. I know their cornerback situation isn't great, but for me, it's like O-line or I know Will Johnson's great as well. It's not me saying Will Johnson isn't great. Right, Dallas Cowboys. The pick is mine. Again, I found this pick quite hard because I think there's a lot of ways they could go. They've been
heavily banked on taking a wide receiver. I think wide receiver in the betting market is
right. That's
clear.
Where I'm going.
Clear favorite.
I think how the boards fell, how the Dallas Cowboys are, and how they pick. This is a Ted McMillan spot completely, and I don't necessarily think they need it. Or should have it.
Oh, hang on. This is what we think is going to happen, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but
no. I think the organisation will take Ted McMillan. I wouldn't take Ted McMillan here myself. I find the Dallas Cowboys.
I think Ted McMillan is what they take.
Do you?
I think they would take him here.
Adam thinks it's going to be Golden. I think it's Ted McMillan. I think
they're going to do something really stupid.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Do you want to veto me then?
Not really, no, because I quite like Ted McMillan at the camp.
I just think if they've assessed
it
properly,
it does make sense.
He's going to be a big alpha guy on the outside. He's going to create a lot of space for CeeDee Lamb. So even if he's not massive,
no, I'm with you. I'm very much on this train. I agree. I just think that the Cowboys do stupid things.
Well, equally,
they took CeeDee Lamb, and it was
true, but yeah, it's Tyler Guyton as well, so
Yeah. On to Ted McMillan is the player.
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins pick number 13. We have had Anthony Manzano. Thank you for watching the mock live as we go. Who is a Dolphins fan? He's offered to help, Andrew. I know you're not one to have help, and you like to take picks yourself, but you might be at risk of upsetting a Dolphins fan here.
I've seen his help, and I've had.
I haven't. What was it?
See, I don't think that player he was saying was for. I think he meant the pick. I think he meant that pick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For what?
I think he meant for like the 49ers or for the 49ers.
Oh, really? Taking Gray Zabel at 11. Wow. Dolphins pick. I think they've got to protect. They've got holes everywhere, haven't they? Could do with taking safety. They could do with taking cornerback. They could do with taking a lot of things on that defense, which hasn't been great. But they've got to protect Tua, haven't they? They've lost Armstead now, so that's where they've got to go for me. I think it's probably tackle as well. This is bad because I should have been sensible here because Kevin Banks is the pick here, isn't it? Kevin Banks is the pick. I've ruined it myself by the Bears taking him.
Well, I think Kevin Banks would go to the 49ers I think that's where he would go if he skipped that pick, personally. Maybe. I don't think he makes the Miami, to be honest.
Oh, I've got Josh Simmons later in my mock as well. Do they definitely? Who have they got on the O-line? We know who's gone.
I can tell you pretty quickly, to be honest with you. I've got all the push right in front of me.
So it's Patrick Paul.
So they've got Patrick Paul, Liam Eichenberg, Aaron Brewer, James Daniel, Austin Jackson.
It's tackle. They need help. It's left
They
tackle.
got James
they need help.
Daniels
They've
Yeah,
got James
they've got
Daniels.
James
now,
Daniels at
from
guard.
the
from
Steelers guy. Where did he play?
Guard,
Right
right
guard.
guard.
Right guard. Okay.
So the guards are fine. I think Austin Jackson's a good right tackle. It's left tackle at Patrick Paul, I think, is the issue. Oh, the safe. Well, I've had safety at this. Every single mock draft I've done, I've had Malachi Starks here.
Remember, this is predictive.
Locked and loaded. Malachi Starks, haven't I? So,
Do you actually think they're going to do that?
well, no. That's what I think. I think they'll take O-line. I think they've got to protect too. What?
Our friend Anthony on YouTube, Adam, is actually saying take Nick Emmanwori.
Yeah, he's saying Emmanwori.
I'm very sorry. I don't want to be horrible to our one viewer, but I would say Malachi Starks would be a better one.
Yeah, Malachi Starks is the better guy. They've got Josh Simmons without the injury.
If he's broken,
if he finished the season out, we would be talking about him up there with Membu and Will Campbell. So he's not.
In fairness, a broken left tackle for a broken quarterback would
he had a patella injury that was non-contact, and apparently he's healed very, very well and doing very good. So
let's get him in there then.
Josh Simmons is go. Josh Simmons.
Okay. Let's move on to pick 14, Indianapolis Colts. That is Adam's pick. I think all three of us could all say the same name at the same time.
Where am I going to go with this one?
Should we all say
Tyler Warren, I believe, is the pick for them. They need a tight end. They haven't got anyone. So
I veto it now. He'll drop. He's not as good as everyone thinks. He's no Brock Bowers.
I think he might go a little bit higher than this, I have to say. But
no trades. I think someone could trade up for him.
Yeah, I think someone will trade up for him. Yeah.
What's even worse is I got so excited when I'm doing the draft alongside as I picked Tyler Warren to the Dolphins. And now I'm going to have to draft Josh Simmons to the Colts.
It's all right. Josh
Just
Simmons
to make sure the players are off the board. Right. Well, if anyone doesn't know, they should know by now. Tyler Warren is going to go to Indianapolis Colts or the New York Jets, more than likely. He's
or the Chicago Bears,
or maybe the Bears. Maybe. On to the Falcons for my pick, pick 15. I'm going to stick with a player that I've had cemented in here for ages, and I don't think you two will disagree. I just think you'll go, well, he's not the best one on there, but I hate the logic. I think it's Michael Williams, edge rusher out of Georgia. I think this has got to be defensive line. They've got to go for the defensive line, and they're going to go, and that's what they're going to do. And they were terrible at the pass rush. And I know there's probably better ones on there. James Pierce, Mike Green. I know you guys are both probably thinking that and feeling that. I think teams like the Falcons like the Georgia connection, and they like that, and that's part of their philosophy within that building is to have them sort of style players. And he's a fantastic edge rusher. I think that. So I'm not going to overcomplicate it with that. Are you two in disagreement with that?
I got no issues with this pick.
No, I think you're right. I disagree with who the better edge rusher is, but I do think that they will probably go down that route for someone like Michael Williams. And like you say, there is the connection, the whole Georgia thing. So yeah, I'm not against him.
Right, on to the Arizona Cardinals at 16 for Andrew.
Oh, another horrible pick.
I actually know where I would go with this, but I'm interested.
Well, he's still on the board, isn't he? It's Will Johnson here, isn't it?
That's exactly where I would go. Exactly right.
I didn't expect him to still be on the board, so I kind of just went, it becomes difficult after that. But yeah, if he's still on the board at this pick, it's Will Johnson.
Yeah. Do you not think I think he might. He's going to be one of the ones who drops, I think.
What, the out of sight, out of mind, or do you think it's the turf toe injury, or
no, just not. I don't know. I just feel like there's no hype around him either. Just
he's
sort
the forgotten guy.
Down. Yeah, I feel like he is.
Yeah. He's the forgotten guy in that bracket of people who could be like incredible stars in the league.
We gave Adam the Mike Green pick. Lovely.
Oh yeah, you did. You gave Adam the Mike Green pick. Right, Bengals 17. Mike Green. They need an edge rusher. They've basically got.
Is that what they're going to do though?
Yeah.
I do actually think they will, because they've got Hendrickson, who still isn't happy and still not signed up. and really nothing else. So I think they desperately need to. I think that when you look at what's on the board and where their issues are, I think that kind of makes a lot of sense. I don't think that I mean, O-line, I think they need to improve at, but I don't think they do it here because basically there are guys that you can get and improve them a little bit that you can go in the second round. But I think their defense is what they need to concentrate on here, isn't it? This year. And so yeah, Mike Green, edge rusher.
I think that's a real safe pick. I think Mike Green
does. The Bengals get the best edge rusher in the class. I tell you.
Right, on to my pick with the Seattle Seahawks. I am a little bit struggling with this pick, to be honest with you.
No, come on.
Do you think? Let me hear your. What do you think it'll be then?
I would be stunned if they don't go O-line.
Tyler Booker's still on their guard, I think.
I completely believe everything where John Schneider has said that guard and centers are massively overdrafted. He said that before. He said they are massively overdrafted.
They're going to lean heavy on the run game this year, aren't they? So I think improving that O-line is a must.
I don't know. Maybe they look at someone to over Lucas Abram, maybe, but I don't think that's the guy. I just don't. I just completely don't. I completely agree with both of you. Completely agree.
The betting odds are 4 to 5 for them taking offensive line.
Then I think they'd go more a tackle than a guard.
Yeah,
is my thing.
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
So I think if you were going to go all out tackle, when I look at the guy, if you're going to go all out tackle, the guys that we got left on our board, you're looking at Zabel, Connolly, Donovan Jackson. I think it's probably too high for Donovan Jackson. Zabel. I probably would go Josh Connolly here. He's the more outright tackle, right?
But you have got Abraham and Cross as well.
That's what I mean. I think. Do you maybe get to this point and just look at BPA?
I mean, there is an argument that they would want to go defensive line, edge rusher, D line. That's maybe they look at it.
I think when you look at it, you've got Jihad Campbell, Enrique, James Pierce.
There's a chance they could go tight end here, isn't there? But
yeah, there is.
McDonald worked with Colston Loveland at Michigan, didn't he? So.
That's true.
You know what? I'm going to subscribe to that. Maybe actually.
Don't subscribe to that because everyone's got him going to the Chargers.
I know.
You can put it in here. It makes sense that for them to, if they're going to lean heavy on the run game, then this guy could work in it as an inline tight end as well. So he's going to help. They've got AJ Barnard. That looked quite good as well. But.
And then I do look at their edge and I do go, well, what you got? Mafe Boye is okay. Byron Murphy's more of a nose tackle. Jaron Reed's a deep defense tackle. He's older. DeMarcus Lawrence is brought in, but he's old. Leonard Williams, he's more of a straight and D tackle. The more I'm looking at it, the more I'm edging James Pierce here. I think I'm going to go James Pierce.
I will veto that. Okay. I think you've got the position right. Mm-hmm. I think there are other edge rushers that will be taken before James Pierce in this draft, despite the fact that they shouldn't be.
Okay, I'll allow you to veto it and take the edge that you like because I'm.
I can assure you, it's not the edge that I like.
I mean, edge rusher's 9-1. Do we honestly think they're going edge rusher?
Well, I personally, if you want to go edge, then I would say it'd be Shamar Stewart.
Okay.
But I really, really do believe that they will go for Gray Zabel, and I think that he's got the versatility that they would like to be able to play in multiple different positions.
So you're going to take Gray Zabel here?
I would take Gray Zabel, yeah.
Okay, all right, okay, that's fair enough. Like I said, I was toying with it. I just don't believe. I'm just a little bit cautious of the O-line pick there for me.
You might be right about who is it? Sorry, the general manager.
His name just John Schneider.
Yeah, you might be right about what he said, and that might be the way that they don't go against. But I just maybe it's a double bluff.
Potentially. Onto the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 19 for Andrew. Again, I feel like we can collectively agree on what this is going to be.
Campbell, Jai Campbell.
Jai Campbell.
You know, I think that's an area that they definitely need some help in. Levante David's going to be retiring soon, I'm guessing, or moving on. So they need some hand there. He can play edge, he can play linebacker, predominantly play linebacker. Very skilled player. I think Campbell's a safe bet here at this pick.
On to Denver then, number 20, pick for Adam.
Who do we want going to the Broncos? I think we'll have Amari Hampton, please.
Okay.
It's another obvious one, isn't it? We're hearing a lot out of camps that they're saying that Denver are heavily trying to move up the draft. So I think if they're trying to move up the draft, we've already mentioned the Raiders, the Bears could potentially take running backs. If they've got a guy they really, really like, I can see why they're trying to move up.
It's the worst.
He's got his own Pittsburgh Steelers. Is he going to go for a quarterback?
Right. Is
Aaron Rodgers going to turn up?
This is where people need to understand what it is like from the Steelers' perspective of this, right? Honestly, all players are available here. Like we could actually pick absolutely everyone. But what people really forget in the most recent of times is we tend to not draft that correctly for what we need, and then when we do, we don't tend to pick a great person. You know, like we tend to pick Kenny Pickett, or I'm not saying Najee Harris is bad, but he's not been what he was hyped to be at all. And then
we've over 1,000 yards for you every year.
But he's not been the needle mover. He hasn't been the needle mover like he was but he was addressed as for Alabama before he came to us. We haven't got a second round pick. That's the big thing, is what I'm like keep going to, is we haven't got a second round
pick. And you haven't got a quarterback currently.
And we haven't got a quarterback. So I think you take Jackson Dart. There's been too much going on about it. There's been too much going on about him sneaking into the round. And it's whether a team trades up or someone takes him. I mean, if I'm a Steelers here, I don't even know what to do with this pick, because in my head I go, well, you got Malachi Starks, Jahdae Barron on there. You've got great defensive players, but you look at defense, it's still pretty good. We've not got loads of holes on there. Yeah. It's so tough. I mean, I would still look at O-line as well. I'd even think about Josh Connolly here at this point. But we just keep overdoing that as well. I'm going to go Jackson Dart. I hate to say it, even though it might prove to be a really great pick in the future, but I'm going to go for it.
Even if you go out and get Rodgers decides to come to you, Dart's not a bad pick, is it? Because he's not ready to start. He's not ready to play. He's a very, very young lad with some good traits. So you probably don't want to start him anyway. Lots of talk of I don't know whether you can afford him, but Kirk Cousins is on the table for a lot of people now as well, isn't he? Because there's lots of reports saying if someone will take 20 million of the guaranteed, then they're happy to have him. So
I don't love it, but I'm like, you can't not at this point. You know what I mean? You just can't not. On to 22 for the Chargers. Back round to Andrew again. Should we all say it together?
No, well, Adam will probably say Ken Grant. So let's not say it together. I'd say Colston Loveland. I think Loveland goes there. It's Ken Grant or Colston Loveland, isn't it? But
I'm the only one last week can veto it. I would lean towards Colston Loveland as well.
Well, I'm not against it. I think
it's one of the two, isn't it? And I'm happy. Yeah. Loveland's still on the board, which he might not be at this point. The two tight ends in this draft are top 15 players in terms of talent, so they could not be here at 22. So if not Ken Grant, but as he's still here, Colston Loveland.
Okay, we'll go on to Adam. Adam's getting his own pick, the Green Bay Packers pick. Andrew's the only one who didn't get picked for his own team. What a shame.
Oh, what a shame.
If it were me, I would be running up there for Jahdae Barron at corner. However, I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think given who's on the board and the needs we've said, haven't we? It's wide receiver 1, it's edge rusher, it's corner. And I think given the fact that Jeff Hafley actually was at Boston College, I think Donovan Ezeraku is very, very likely to happen if he falls this far.
I think he falls this far. I think this is if he's available there, that's where he goes. I think
I do think that potentially the Bucks might take him, not over Campbell, but if Campbell goes earlier, I think the Bucks might take him. But if not, and he's there, I think they go Ezeraku.
Only finished half a sack behind Mike Green in college sacks last year.
Exactly.
So
there you go. Runs with his hair on fire, does Donovan. So that's what we like to see.
Right, on to my pick with the Minnesota Vikings. I think if the board fell like this, you're looking at Malachi Starks and Jahdae Barron, and I would go Malachi Starks all day long here. I think they run away with that. I think this is a really, really easy pick for the Vikings, who have had some really top players just completely fall into their lap. I know running back is a big need. It says on PFF there. They can go to the second round and probably get that. I think, both the Ohio State guys you could think about here. I just think you've got someone like Malachi Starks or Jahdae Barron. I'm going to go Starks on this. I think it's a no-brainer. I think this is a really easy pick.
Yeah, I think if Starks isn't there, they go Emanuware. So I think it's safety here for them as well.
Okay, back round to the Houston Texans at pick 25 for Andrew.
Well, it's O-line, isn't it? I know it's State's wide receiver, but Christian Kirk will fill in, won't he?
Yeah.
With Nico Collins. I do really, really like them taking Emeka Egbuka, but what's the point in taking Egbuka if CJ Stroud's getting sacked and beat up? So what have they brought in anybody to replace O-line, or is it just holes on?
Yeah, they've got was it
the starting lineup for the minute? It's Cam Robinson, Titus Howard, Jarrett Patterson, Juice Scruggs, Blake Fisher.
Yeah, so Robinson has come in to replace Tunsil, isn't he? But it's only like a 1-year deal.
They've also got Trent Brown and Lake and Tomlinson as backups, older guys.
Yeah. So they could do getting younger O-line. So it does make sense.
My trouble is there's no tackles left. I mean, Josh Connolly's there. They might be tempted with Donovan Jackson.
Yeah.
They might be the
true tackle.
Because he's not a tackle, he's a guard. But he can play tackle because that's where he finished.
He played there, didn't he? Didn't he move out? After Simmons' injury.
He finished out there, didn't he? I remember you saying.
He played guard for his whole entire time at Ohio, and then Josh Simmons got injured. He moved to tackle during the season, and then finished and played ridiculously well at tackle during the playoffs, and was the MVP for me in the championship game. So, he's already got a relationship with CJ Stroud, so there might be a chance that's where he goes. I'm happy. I know Adams used his veto, but do we everyone see this being O-line, or could they take Egbuka here as well?
I mean, they don't have to take O-line because they have got Robinson there. So it's not something that they have to do. But at the same time, do you have to take Egbuka when you've just brought in Christian Kirk kind of thing? It's a really difficult one. I actually feel like the most sensible thing to do would be to take the O-line guy. And I think that they're probably going to do that. And I feel like the Christian Kirk signing was kind of a bit of a tip of the cap that was what they were going to do. So
and since they've changed GM to this new guy, their picks have become a lot more sensible.
Yeah.
They've made some really good picks. So
yeah.
And you don't have to, like I say, you don't have to use him at tackle. If Cam Robinson's good enough, use him at guard for a year. And if Cam Robinson goes after 1 year, if it's a 1 year deal, then move Jackson out there after 1 year of being in the NFL. Could do that. So I like this pick for them. Also like it for the next pick as well.
Okay, we'll go on to the LA Rams at pick 26 for Adam.
I think that they're in a really good position at the moment. Offensively, I think they look pretty good. You could go for an O-line guy just for more depth, but I think where you are here, the big concern on the defense was at corner, and Jahdae Barron's here. So I think the Rams are absolutely running up to get this one.
You killed me there. You've killed me.
I think that's a great pick.
That's what I'm here for.
Why has it killed you?
That was good. I was thinking about that pick for the Ravens, to be honest.
Really? I think they're struggling at edge rusher, and
I think they allowed so much over the top last season.
But they had injuries though, didn't they? They struggled with injuries at corner, didn't they? I think they lost everybody at some point.
I think they could go for a corner, but the one thing I would say is I think they would prioritize edge, given who's on the board.
I was like, when you said Jahdae Barron, I thought if Jahdae Barron came there, it was between him and, for me, James Pierce. So this is where I'd have James Pierce going, because
they've got I'm gonna say they've got Nate Wiggins, they've got Marlon Humphreys, and they brought in Awuzie. So I think they're fine at corner. We're looking at it. What have they got? Edge. They're massively struggling for edge.
Yeah, I'm going to go James Pierce here for me. Let me just have a look at. You could go Jamal Stewart, maybe Nick Scorton, but
I think this is around the area that James Pierce goes. I think this is the value for him. My value for him is higher, but I think as the NFL sees it with his character concerns, that this is the area he's going, around the late 20s.
Yeah. And they'll have someone really good fall into their lap, and then Ravens aren't. They're not a stupid organization by no means. They do draft well, and they're pretty good at that. So, on to the Detroit Lions. Back round to Andrew, the 28th pick. I mean, I don't know where you're going to go with this, to be honest with you.
I mean, why does this wide receiver as a need for them? I thought they were. It was.
Isn't it because Jameson Williams is
on the trade block?
He's on the trade block, but he's in his 5th year, isn't he, as well? So they seem to think that that they might get rid of him.
Lots of rumors that he's going to be traded during the draft.
And realistically, if that were to happen, you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown and...
Yeah, you wouldn't be taking Golden...
No one.
Yeah, but you wouldn't take Golden, Burden, or Egbuka if you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown.
No, I agree. I wouldn't have it as their main need. I just think that that's probably why it's down as a need.
Do we think they'll take wide receiver in the first round, or looking at it, let's have a quick look, because I think it is D-line for them.
I would go towards an edge rusher here for me.
Yeah.
And you could maybe argue corner with what the corners are there.
Do we think they're strong enough on the interior, though? I know they've got Marcus Davenport, they've got Aiden Hutchinson. Then obviously,
I like Ali McNeil and Levi Owadzurike. DJ Reed is decent, but he's older. I would be Kenneth Grant's there. Michigan, Detroit.
I think personally, and I know that this is kind of the edge rush has been the position that's always been mocked to them, and I just kind of feel a little bit like their whole season fell apart when Aiden Hutchinson left. I think, and also I think you need someone opposite him anyway.
Makes sense for them to take Shamar Stewart.
Yeah,
based on the fact he's not ready to be slotted into the NFL and go, there you go, you're now edge one, sack the quarterback as many times as possibly can. It's just not in his armor at the minute. I think he needs a bit of nurturing, a bit of training, a bit of teaching of how to use his skill set to get to the quarterback, which is what he struggled. And Aiden Hutchinson,
he's an absolute traits monster, isn't he? Which is what.
Yeah. So his biggest downfall is he's only managed 1.5 sacks per season. Because he gets a lot of pressure, and that's about it. So he just needs someone to show him the ropes, and that could be Aiden Hutchinson. So as much as I'm down on Shamar Stewart, I think this is the perfect pick and home for him to get the best out of those traits.
Okay, well, we'll get Shamar Stewart in there. Washington Commanders at pick 29 for you, Adam.
Help.
We're running out of edge rushes, aren't you? Do they need help? Do they need help with D-line? D-line seems to be a lot stronger.
D-line, yeah, I do feel like D-line.
They brought in Kinlaw, didn't they? But Payne's getting a bit old, isn't he?
And also Kinlaw is not great. So,
yeah,
I think D-line makes sense. I think given the fact that he's still on the board is actually shocking. So I'm going to go Kenneth Grant.
Yeah, a lot of both.
I think running back is a big need for them. I think they're going to go quite big at running back, but I feel like that's a day 2 pick for them. I like Ken Grant here. I think to a certain extent they go best player available. Actually,
well, that's why I'm looking at the Bills in my mind.
The only other thing you could argue is that they are really, really short at wide receiver, actually. They've got Terry McLaurin, who's, is it 30 now? Or he's going to be 30 when the season starts, and they've not got anything else.
Well, they've got Deebo Samuel now, haven't they?
Yeah, so they've not got anything else.
They got Michael Gallup back, didn't they?
You're really helping me out here.
Well, I just think they've got 2 guys. They've got a slot receiver in Deebo Samuel, and they've got a wide out guy that was insane last year in Terry McLaurin. I don't think.
But they might think, let's give Daniels more weapons. They might not. They might wait it out until the second, go wide receiver, running back. It's difficult. I feel like he's another one, isn't he? It's Adam Peters, isn't it? Is that right? Adam Peters, the general manager in Washington. He's another one who's come from the McVay Shanahan thing. I'm going Ken Grant. I think they go Ken Grant.
Yeah.
Do I veto that and then take him for the Bills instead?
No, because there's another guy on the board that they can just take.
Go Derek Harmon.
Yeah.
My problem is, I think the Eagles would take. I think Harmon would drop, and then the Eagles would take him. But you know what? I'm going to go a little left field with this.
So I'm putting in Ken Grant. You're not vetoing it, no?
No, I'm not vetoing it. Because I'm going to go a little bit left field because I'm struggling a little bit. But I'm looking at their roster, the Bills, and I'm like, oh, you could put. It's sort of a B. I think it is a bit of a BPA thing. And if I think about BPA and who they've left on the board, I am looking at Nick Emanwari. That might be a bit rich for the blood, but I just think they're a tough team to draft for the Bills a little bit. I think edge rusher, you're overdrafting an edge rusher here. You could look at Nick Scotton, you could look at corner, but actually when you look at their corner, they have loads, but they all get injured all the time. So maybe you could look at Trey Amos, but a lot of people are very big on Trey Amos, as much as you guys are as well.
I think it's interior. I think Harmon's a good pick here.
I think, yeah, I'm going to go Harmon. Yeah, I'm going to go Derek Harmon. They're a tough team to draft for, I think.
Yeah, I actually think there's a few of these teams at the back, which makes sense, obviously, because it meant they had a good season. They've got decent players that are really tough, and I think that a lot of them are trade out candidates of the first round.
Our board is falling. There's loads of teams where I could see them going up and getting him, or you've just said about some. But
I would say the Browns and the Giants are big trade back in to the back of the first round.
Just because they're at the back end as well, and I've just watched and seen it go through, and I was like, oh well, they could just leave that for a little bit. If someone like the Vikings moved up and took to the 30 spot, let's say, and went and took a running back there, and they went, you know what, we're just going to pip everyone to the post for the next best one, and didn't give much draft capital up, I could see that happen.
Yeah, I think we spoke about this, didn't we, on the betting show on when we did it, and I feel like for me, I don't think there's going to be much at the front. I think you're going to have to pay a lot for them few guys at the top. So I don't think it's going to be much movement. But anything from like 10 all the way down, there's going to be lots of little trades. where it's almost like you just move up 2 spots just to get ahead of someone that you want, or you're happy to move back, say like 3 spots because you know your guy's not going to go. So I think you're going to get a lot of that.
I agree. Back to the Kansas City Chiefs at 31. I feel like we all know what this pick is as well.
Is it my pick?
Yeah.
Josh Connolly? No.
Josh Connolly. Yeah, I knew it was going to be Josh Connolly. That's a very, very obvious one.
They might go Ursary, just to be a little bit different with who they pick. He's big guy, but yeah, it's O-line.
Let's sound out this mock draft then with the number 32 pick, the last pick of the draft, Philadelphia Eagles, and that is Adam.
Yeah, they can pretty much go where they like.
They go to tight end.
No. Oh. I refuse. You can't come along and veto me. The one above you can, but you can't. So I understand the Mason Taylor chat, but no. I actually think that corner is a sneaky need for this team.
They've got two all-pro ones.
They do. You're right, and they got rid of 2. They lost James Bradbury and Darius Slay, so I
know that. I'm just voicing what everyone's just said through the screen to you.
I agree. I hear what you're saying. I really like Trey Amos. I think the NFL, and there's a lot of chat about the fact that Maxwell Hairston's going in the first round. So I'm going to go for him.
Just leaving it for Freddie if he needs to veto it, because they also lost Josh Sweat, they lost Milton Williams, they lost.
I think they go for an edge rusher here.
When I'm looking down at it, I'd be veering towards Nick Scorton or probably Tyleik Williams, because I've heard there's a lot of NFL teams that like.
Well, they won't go Tyleik Williams, will they? Because they've got Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis.
That might have been the most idiotic thing you've said in this whole podcast. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. They don't care what they have. They just draft whatever they got Jordan Davis and then drafted Jalen Carter. And before that, they had Fletcher Cox.
A nose tackle and a D tackle, isn't it? But
I am going to veto it because I haven't used it and it's a little bit of fun. And I'm because I vetoed it, me and Andrew can take this pick together. I think that's fair. Isn't that fair, Andrew?
No, it's not, because I'll put Mason Taylor in
the tight end. Well, I don't think it's going to be a tight end. I don't think it is at all. So I'm going to put in Nick Scorton.
Fair.
Look at his face, the curled up lip.
Very, very, very wrong.
Can you not see the argument that it could be an edge rusher?
Not with who's left on the board.
Okay, interesting.
But the position, I think you're right. I think they need to sort out edge rusher. They need more depth there. But I would argue it's the same with corner. So
they brought in Adoree Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, they still need a corner.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, exactly.
No. They also brought in Azeez Ojulari as well, didn't they? Yeah. Right. So Nick Scorton, just to finish it off. I mean, he's vetoed it, so we haven't got a choice. But
yeah, go for it.
Exactly. You're going to have to like it and lump it.
If you want to ruin the mock at the end, that's fine.
We will also put that mock draft up on our social medias. I've just downloaded the image to make sure that I do that. So Andrew, Adam, thank you very much for joining us. I hope we've maybe offended some of you out there with this mock draft, because we love doing that a lot. And maybe some of you might be a little bit pleased, but either way, enjoy the draft. We'll definitely be watching it. We'll definitely be up all night. So if you want to chat to us about draft stuff, or if you want more in-depth stuff about players, definitely chat to Andrew and Adam, because that's definitely what they want to do at 2 a.m. is talk to other NFL fans about players. So disturb them as much as you want. Until then, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check us out on YouTube and all of our social media platforms. Have a good week and enjoy your draft night, whether it be with friends or just on your own. Have a great time, and we'll see you all again very soon.